Welcome, everyone, to All Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Alvaro Gamboa. Today's episode 2, All Fruits and Veggies. This plant-based life is easy. Plant-based is the future. Not only is veganism trendy, but it's very important, moral, and the just way to think about our food into the future. This episode discusses fruits and veggies, plant-based versus veganism, all the benefits, and how to live a more plant-based lifestyle. Now, I'd like to start off with the episode with a quick quote from the authority on wisdom, if you will, Socrates. Socrates is quoted by Plato as saying, "Let food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be food." Every vegan person I know adheres to this philosophy, adheres to this lifestyle. These plants, these fruits and veggies are our medicine. Herbs and spices and herbs, these are all our medicines. And just look at medicine today. A lot of these pills, a lot of these concoctions and treatments, they're all derived from plants. They're all plant-based derivatives. Because they're plant-based derivatives, they are promoted as natural, organic, and non-GMO. And the real medicine is just fruits and veggies. I've been plant-based now for about a year and a half. One thing that stuck out to me was I wanted to live. Before my transition, I was bloated all the time. I was very fatigued, had low energy, and this was me during peak college years, just not being able to get up and go to class, get up and go to work. I was feeling, my body was feeling the day before. I was very inflamed. When I would work out, I didn't recover as fast, and all these things led me to feel like I was living a life not worth living. And I had an epiphany one day. If I wanted to live, I had to eat life. I had to be with life. Be with plants, be with fruits, be with veggies. And that helped me out tremendously. We must choose to honor life and choose living over the dead. And in today's society, of which I was a victim of back then before my transition, we don't honor life. We don't even honor death, honestly, because the things we do to animals prior to us eating them, prior to us eating meat, is unimaginable, unforgivable, in all honesty. We must choose to honor life. And we must choose the living over the dead. And when I say living, I do mean fruits and veggies, plants. Plants are living up until they're in your stomach. When plants start to become dead, they start to rot. So that gives you a very clear idea and view of living. As opposed to the dead, you think of the dead, what do we think of? We think of animals, right? And we're consuming them. I'm sorry if I'm being very gory and very outright, but this is the plain truth. I'm not a fan of that entirely. So I decided, at some point or another last year, 2018, 2019, I decided to go with the whole foods plant-based diet. So in my transition, I was working at a vegan restaurant. Shouts out to Exist. Shouts out to the Exist family. You already know the Exist family is strong. We out here. And something I picked up was this philosophy of a whole foods plant-based nutrition. With my nutrition being whole foods plant-based, I had to break some things down and see the duality in things, right? Because what led me ultimately to overcome this, to come into this, was that a majority of today's foods in supermarkets weren't around 100 years ago. So if they weren't around 100 years ago, it's foreign to us, essentially. If it's foreign to our ancestors, it might as well be foreign to ourselves, right? And it's foreign to our bodies, it's foreign to our systems. And because we allow for the consumption of a foreign substance into our bodies, it puts our whole ecosystem into a fritz. And that is what we do every day, all right? So I had to look at it, and I broke it down into whole foods versus processed foods. Now, whole foods are one ingredient items. What's in a cucumber? Cucumber. What's in a carrot? Carrot. What's in broccoli? Broccoli. What's in cauliflower? I don't know, but I'm not tasting it because that shit is disgusting. All right, that's just no, I'm kidding. What's in a papaya? I don't know, and I'm not going to know because I am not a fan of papayas. I am sorry, dog. As much as I love fruits and veggies, you cannot pay me to eat papayas, dog. Oh my God, people that love papayas cannot shut up about papayas, bro. The thing about papaya, bro, is it looks cool and shit. It looks like a fantastic green, yellow, orange colorish hue. But when you open it up, it smells like fart, okay? It smells like someone pooped into the tree and out came a poop plant. I don't know how else to explain it. All that to say is I'm not trying papaya, dog. I've tried it. I've done it. I've been there, done that. I'm good. And that's how I feel about processed foods. I've been there, I've done that. I'm good, bro. When I think about whole foods, I think about one ingredient items, fruits, veggies, right? When I think about processed foods, I think about things that need multiple ingredients, xanthan gum and lecithin and heavy starches and high fructose corn syrup, sugar, because we Americans need our sugar, okay? And like chips, sodas, burgers, shakes, these are all processed. Breads, they're processed. Mass production of foods to feed the 350 million Americans in this society and at the world at large has led to obesity, diabetes, heart disease, like everything you can think of, man. And because it's directly linked to, because of the fact we have this food system the way it is. So I looked at our food systems in terms of whole foods, right? And you look at how we get our foods is through grocery stores. I already told you the stuff in there is not what's good for you. If it wasn't around 100 years ago, if it's just new and stuff, don't even worry about it, dog. It's not a good food. What is a good food? Fruits, veggies, the berries, your tropical fruits, your nuts, your seeds, all that, man. And if you find, like, real quick, let's say we're in a grocery store, right? Let's say we're in a grocery store. Pretend this is a grocery store, however you want to look at it. You enter into the grocery store, right? You enter into the grocery store and you go around the perimeter of your store, the grocery store, you'll find all the good foods, all the whole foods, plant-based stuff, right? On the outsides, you have all your veggies, all your fruits, and you might have meats and your dairies in the refrigerator section. You come around and you'll have all your milks, all your eggs, all your cheeses, all your creams, juices, all that stuff. And in the insides of those aisles is where the problem lies, where you have the very high manipulation of foods, the mass production of poison, essentially, is the way I see it in this day and age. And it's not food. Anything in between those aisles, anything that comes in a bag, anything that comes in plastic, anything that comes in a box, it's just not food. And that has helped me shed not only my weight, which I've shed like 30 pounds now probably. It has not only led me to change my life, but it's also allowed me to elevate myself, because when I choose life, I'm living. So my vibration has gotten higher as of just off of the simple fact that I'm switching from processed foods to whole foods. Now let's look at plant-based versus the alternative, which is animal-based. Now when you choose animal-based foods, you're thinking of your burgers, your shakes, your milks, you're thinking about pork tenderloins, you're thinking about pork chops, pork rinds, you're thinking about I can go on and on, essentially. But these are animal products. The dangers with these animal products is the very fact that they're animal products. The animal-based products do cause problems in people. There's scientific studies have found that animal protein causes cancer, right? More than 20% of animal protein in your daily diet will increase your risks of several cancers and diseases. And these are just facts. And it goes down to the very way we dispose of these animals, right? I'm not a fan of it at all, because of the fact that when you look at animal products, animal-based products, they all come from a slaughterhouse. That slaughterhouse is a concentration camp. It's an animal concentration camp, and they do nothing good in slaughterhouses. There's nothing good done in meat processing plants. I could go on and on about the horrors that go on in slaughterhouses. Another thing that helped me with my plant-based transition was food marketing. Understanding the lies that have been told. Let's go back to meat for a second. Growing up, all my life, all your life, you've been told probably that you need to eat meat if you want to be considered a man. Men eat meat, right? And that is bullshit. What requirements? Like, who gave us the man manual and was like, yo, like, you need to eat like a lion, because that's how you become a strong man and a leader of your house and a leader of your domain? And like just looking at it, that in and of itself, you need like we eat like lions, right? Like men are like lions and shit. It's dumb because a lion doesn't go to the grocery store, stand in line, pick up its steak wrapped in plastic, and then pay for it, and then fry it or cook it or grill it, however you want to do it, and then sit down and then ready to eat it. That's not how lions do it at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think you guys know how lions work, bro. Like the lionesses go out, grab you some stuff. The lions go out, grab you a gazelle, grab you a zebra. They eat it right then and there, bring it back to their pride. And their bodies are made for that. Our bodies are not made for that. Our bodies are not made to consume animals to the extent that we've done it in, and in the manner that we do so. It's just not it, dog. It's just not it. A lion eats it raw, and we eat it processed, cooked, and grilled and seasoned. Where they do that at, fam? Here in America. Now, with the food marketing of it all, I had to understand that we've been giving up so much propaganda, so much marketing for the consumption of animals that lead us to thinking about what we consider to be good foods. Prime example, I stopped eating at fast food restaurants a long time ago, and you should too. Because here's the thing, we've been catfished, folks. All right, we've been catfished by McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's for far too long. When was the last time you got a burger and you opened it up and you said, damn, this looks like exactly like the commercials? Because it's not, okay? It's not. In the commercials, they have it nice and juicy and thick and dripping. All of that is processed. All of that is chemicals, dog. I saw a documentary where they exposed how they make commercials for fast food restaurants, and they literally put WD-40 oil into their burgers to give it that slick appearance. Think about that. They put oil in it to give it that appearance. So no matter how hard they try, no chef, no cook in these restaurants are gonna give you a burger that looks like that. And if they do, don't trust it. The next topic I'd like to get into, helping you transition into a plant-based life. As I mentioned, I transitioned a while ago. I was trying to be super vegan for some point. A lot of people end up, when they start off, trying to be super vegan. I was definitely one of them. And the thing about that was I was doing too much, all right? I didn't need to do all that. So I'm here to give you some tips and tricks to help you transition to a plant-based life. The first off, don't do it all, okay? Very simply put, you can start off by cutting down your animal consumption, your meat consumption down a meal a day or a week if you need to. Just take it at your own pace. That one small decision may be meaningless to you right now. Looking back, that one time where I decided to cut that one meal of meat and stick with my plants, it helped so much. It brought me discipline, it brought me appreciation and gratitude, and it gave me a better feeling than eating a bowl full of meat, full of animals, whatever, chicken, steak, pork, whatever animal, you know, like I had to realize that I was eating way too much meat, so I cut it down. And because I cut it down, my waistline started slimming. I had more energy, which is a great caveat of it all. I have more energy now than I did 10 years ago, more than 5 years ago, you know, and that's because I cut out meat. Now, something that is a general guide for you in your food journey and your nutritional journey is definitely meal prepping. All right, meal planning and prepping, it will save you so much headaches, so much stress. You have to be intentional about this. All right, so something I recommend when you start off meal prepping and planning is create a list of foods that you do love. Create a list of fruits that you like. Create a list of vegetables that you like, that you can have at any time of day, that you can have with anything, and start from there. Once you have that list, you could create recipes off of those lists. Say, you know, whatever fruit combined with that veggie, whatever veggies combined with each other to make a great meal. Get you some starches, some heavy starches, some legumes, some cruciferous vegetables, things like that, and try to make a balanced meal. It's very intentional, and you have to do research, right? Because this is not going to be given to you, right? And something that I really want to shout out 2020 for is 2020 is giving people more autonomy over their food. When I was doing meal planning and prepping, there became a point where I had a great pride in knowing what I was going to eat today, tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. And that pride let me, like, it fueled me, because I knew that what was going through my body went through my hands first. And that is so important in this day and age. For years, how long have we been living a life of like grinder or hustler mentality, where we're so busy moving from one phase of our life, one avenue of our life into the next, where we don't even have time to sit down, think about what we like to eat, make it and eat it. So what do? We go to the nearest fast food restaurant, the nearest fast casual place, the nearest restaurant, whatever have you. Now that all that shit's shut down, more people are taking control, taking their power back into their hands and starting to learn how to cook. So shout out 2020 for that, honestly, because that is beautiful. That's how I'm so glad I was ahead of the curve a while back, because now that I'm learning how to cook, I can cook for others, which is a beautiful thing. I cook for my brothers and sisters all the time. I make things for my family, and they don't recognize who this person is. They don't recognize Chef Alvaro. I'm so happy for that. It brings me a great joy that is unparalleled, and nothing in this world can replace that. No restaurant can give you that value, man. It's just me, my tools, and the knowledge that I've gotten about fruits and veggies and herbs and spices. Something that will help cement your transition, I hope, because it cemented mine, was to ask and answer some real and hard questions about my relationship and your relationship with food. A mindset change that I made was I stopped thinking about what diet I wanted to be on. What diet is this, right? Whether it was a plant-based diet or a vegan diet. I removed the word diet from my vocabulary. A couple of things. Why? The word diet has the word die in it, and I don't plan on dying anytime soon. I plan on living, you hear me, and for a very long time. And secondly, when you think of a diet, it's gotten this dirty connotation in American society. A diet in Americans' eyes is very short. It's finite as opposed to infinite. It's limited to these weeks or to these months before summer body season or summer season or beach season, you know. And being in Miami, I experienced all of that. Body image issues and all that. You don't need to have those issues when you're trying to change your life for the better. You don't. It's negative. And here at All Growth, we focus on the things that grow, including you. So with that in mind, I took out diet and I replaced it with nutrition. The lifestyle choice that I made was focusing on my nutrition. Looking at it through that lens, my nutrition became more infinite, right? And not so infinite that it became scary, but infinite in the sense that I could do this forever, and I plan on doing this forever. When I look at my nutrition, it helped me get a better understanding of food, of carbs, of proteins, of my fats, of macros and micros, right? Of your macronutrients and your micronutrients. When you look at nutrition, and I low-key became a nutritionist because of all this, and try to fill in the holes for all that, you have more power, you have more control, you have more self-reliance. And that is not what people want. That is not what the powers that be want. And that's what I want for you. Start looking into nutrition and drop that diet shit. Continuing the conversation on today's topic, fruits and veggies, we've expanded, and I have to say I'd be remiss and beside myself if I didn't include resources for you to expand your growth and carry with you to help you in your transition and into your new plant-based lifestyle, if you so choose to do that. So I made a list of a couple of great documentaries that I've watched over and over again. I'll be linking them in the show notes and providing them for you as well, that I think helped me a lot and will help you a lot as well. They range in terms of light to dark, so like I like to say like very light or very superficial manners, and then they get very dark and very heavy. The reason why I decided to include these darker, heavier documentaries is because that was a wake-up call. To see the reality of it all, to be exposed to it, boom, it's right there in your face. It woke me the fuck up. After watching a couple, I decided, you know what, dog, it cemented me. It cemented for me the idea that, you know what, this is for real, like, I can't do it no more. I can't. This is like, I'm full on plant-based lifestyle. So I hope it does that for you too. And I'll go over a couple of them that I love. Off the bat, the Game Changers is game-changing, right? Like, it does it right there. And the documentary is about vegan athletes, and it goes into depth about all the fallacies that can come up, all the lies, all the propaganda, all the rebuttals that people will have about this vegan plant-based lifestyle, right? The film, they do mention veganism, and hopefully you don't get mistaken by what I'm saying in terms of like vegan and plant-based. They are not interchangeable. They're two very distinct ideas, right? So I include them both. With Game Changers, it went through the producer's recovery process from it should have been a life-changing injury, but it didn't, because plant-based life, dog, you know. Not only does it follow the narrators, the directors, in becoming more vegan, but it also exposed like the many fallacies that I've been talking about all episode long that have come about with veganism and the benefits of having a vegan lifestyle and having a more plant-based, plant-focused lifestyle. Another great documentary I recommend would be Cowspiracy. Cowspiracy is a documentary that exposes the conspiracy about cattle ranching and shows us the side effects of what can happen to a country that becomes reliant on the consumption of cattle. It's very dangerous and it's very damaging. It's very eye-opening as well. It's in the mid-range between heavy and light. I included it in the list because we need to know that, and we need to know what it takes to raise cows, what it takes to raise cattle, what it takes to have a cattle farm and a cattle ranch. And we don't know that because we're so far removed from these issues, from these worlds. The thing is, the more we think about it, we're connected. If we didn't have such a high reliance on animals and meat, we wouldn't have any farms, any ranches, none of that. So it's connected. It's all one with the other. Now, the last documentary I'll talk about real quickly is the darkest one that I've seen, and I have to include it because it was just necessary for me. And it's a documentary by Joaquin Phoenix. It's Dominion. You can find it on YouTube, and I hope you do. It is not for the faint of heart. I'm starting to get flashbacks about when I watched it. It kept me on the edge of my seat, and it sent chills down my spine in a good way. Personally, I needed to know this is how animals are made. This is how this happens, right? This is how we go about having a country that's reliant on animals. It scared me. I had to watch it in chunks. I'll be very honest with you. I couldn't watch it all at once. I had to watch it in chunks throughout. The documentary goes through each animal and discusses how they're used and abused, going from cows to chickens to rabbits to minks, everything. So once I saw that, I realized, you know what, this plant-based lifestyle is something that ties it all together for me and lets me know that the path I was on was not right, and that's okay. What's not okay is if we kept going. If I kept going, I would not be okay with myself. If we keep going, we won't be okay with ourselves. So I hope in watching these documentaries and listening to this podcast, you take your nutrition into your hands and you start transitioning into a better life for yourself. A couple of questions that are asked when people find out that I'm plant-based and that I'm vegan and that I don't do none of that animal stuff are the same questions you might be asking yourself. So I'll give you the answers that I've told people across my journey. When people ask me, what does plant-based look like? I tell them one size does not fit us all. These are not Spanx, okay? These are not waist trainers. You have to do what works for you. You have to do what's best for your body, what's best for your spirit, your soul, and your mind. You can't jump into this full throttle and dive in head first. You just can't. You can, but then you'll have what happened to me. Now, what happened to me was when you transition, your body ends up taking out the gunk, right? And when you're building gunk in your body every time you consume animals, because death stays within your body. We're not meant to eat living things. Our intestinal system is very long, twice the size of our body, I believe. And because of that, once we eat dead things, once we eat animals, they get stuck into our system where they're left there to rot. So what you had, say you have a burger, that burger could stay with you for like a week or two, literally. And the average American has anywhere from 10 to 30 pounds of excrement, of waste in their colon and their intestines that is just not bueno, bruh. It's just not. So be mindful of that. I have a couple more questions that people like to ask, or that you may be asking yourself if you're trying to transition to a plant-based life. The biggest one I think that comes up is protein. Where do you get your protein? How do you get your protein? And my answer always has been and always will be the same. God never made anything incomplete, neither are you. We have to look at that. God doesn't make anything incomplete. Every fruit, every vegetable has all you need. Every fruit, every vegetable, every plant has all 9 of the essential amino acids, which you need for recovery, which you need for sustenance. Not only that, but they have proteins, they have carbohydrates, and they have fats. They have all your macronutrients in various levels, right? Just like somebody could be 6'9", and their daughter or their son could be 5'3". You know, everyone has different varying levels of things within them. And just like that, plants have varying amounts of carbs, of fats and proteins in their systems too. It's all about building a balanced diet, doing your research, looking into what protein sources you can have. We're going to look into our protein sources, and the protein sources that I use are the same: beans, legumes, and chickpeas. Now, when I think of beans, there's like 3 or 4 different kinds of beans I could name. When you think of legumes, I think of lentils, and there's a bunch of different lentils. And then you have chickpeas, and any of those 3 you can make into a variety of things. So I hope you do that. And the name of the game, honestly, is about balance. You have to do a balanced diet. You have to research into these things to satisfy fully your nutritional needs. So once you're able to fully satisfy your nutritional needs through your research, you won't be reliant on animal products. You won't be reliant on processed foods. You won't be reliant on the things that happen to be made in stores and fast food chains and restaurants and shit. You won't be reliant on anything but yourself. One thing that I do like to bring up is meat alternatives. I have to bring it up. I don't eat meat alternatives, the Impossibles and the Beyonds. I'm not a fan of them for several reasons. I will note, however, that if you're someone that is primarily an animal consumer, primarily a meat eater, these are great transitionary foods for a short while. And it's best to rid yourself of the concept and the idea behind meat entirely. When you're thinking about hams and sausages and beefs and chickens, whether it be chickens or chickens, however you pronounce that, CHICK''Ns, soys and things like that, I wouldn't stick with that as the main component of my diet, as opposed to plants and fruits and veggies. What I would hope you do is you find some plant-based meats that you like and try to include them into your diet, right? Your nutrition. From there, once you include it into your nutrition, you have an understanding and a sense of what your body likes, what your body wants and needs. And then after a while, you can get to remove them from your diet. And I'm very adamant about that, so please do so. The main reason why is because this is food that's made in a lab. I repeat, Beyonds and Impossibles, all those meats are made in a lab. What that means is that they're researched on and people make study groups on them. So you have study groups of people testing out these Beyonds and Impossibles, and this is not as juicy as I wanted, or this is very dry, or this is very chalkish or whatever. And then they go back to the lab and they rewrite the formula and they recreate it. And that's not good. That's foreign as can be. That's not meant for you and your system. It's just not. So that's the main reason why. So if you are someone that has fully transitioned, don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about them. Keep them out of your fridge and freezer. But if you are someone that's thinking about transitioning into a plant-based life, approach with caution and go at your own risk. Another question people ask me is, what happens when you start transitioning to a plant-based life? When you start transitioning to a plant-based life, you go through a metamorphosis of, in essence, right? You're giving your body life. You're giving your body life in the form of fruits and veggies. From there, that life goes all over your body. Now, when you're consuming animals, and they eventually at some point rot within you, right? Because of the fact that our intestines are twice the length of our body. We're not meant to eat that stuff, so they rot within us. So we have a lot of gunk within ourselves, and that's not bueno. When you consume only plants, when you consume only fruits and veggies, you become vegan. You have a transitionary period of flushing out your toxins, and oh boy, that's hard, bro. You're gonna have all types of squirts and runs. Being very honest with you, and you're gonna need to use the bathroom to get rid of that. You'll feel lighter afterward. You'll thank yourself for going through that. It'll be worth it at the end of the day. So please stick with it. And if you're finding yourself having a hard time transitioning, you have to remember what you're leaving behind is not the food itself, but it's the memories related and tied to that food, the memories and associated with that food, the nostalgia that you have with that food. It's not something that's viable that you can hold. It's not something that's true. It's just something that you made in your head, that we've all made in our head relating to food. And you can let that go. You must let that go in order to create new memories around food, new experiences around something you don't know, which is plant-based lifestyle. When you do that, you'll find that the growth was worth every step of the way. Another question people ask about this is, what's so wrong about animals, right? And there's a level of animal ethics in this, because at the core, we're playing God. On a religious level, in a religious sense, in a spiritual sense, we are playing God with his creations because we're farming animals. They're created for our enjoyment, our entertainment, our nutrition. That's what they're made for. That is their sole purpose on this life. And if you think about it, when you crunch the numbers down, there are 10 times as many animals on this planet as there are humans. They outnumber us like something like 4 or 5 to 1. Why is that so? How is that so? You gotta understand, we're farming animals, dog, and it's not right. Before I get all Matrix on y'all, that's all I'm gonna say at that, man. It's not right, and it's not right with God. It's not right with the universe. I mean, I hopped off that, and I hope you will too. Something I want to touch on is the differences between plant-based versus vegan versus vegetarian. Vegetarian, I think, is the term that everyone's used to, which essentially means I'm not eating meat. Right? I'm not eating animals, eggs, and honey, and things like that. I'm still cool with. That's okay. Plant-based is that idea of I'm not eating animals for any reason. I'm more plant-based. Plant-based ideas go from, if there is an animal-based product, I find a plant-based alternative, which is a lifestyle choice in and of itself, right? Instead of looking for honey, I'm looking for agave and things like that. Now, vegan is a lifestyle choice as well, and that's, I feel, the more extreme, where it is the outright refusal of holding on to using or having anything that is an animal product, whether that be leather, whether that be honey, whether that be cotton, whether they be silk, things like that. I'm not using them because animals made them, animals were exploited for this, so therefore I'm not using it. I happen to agree with parts of all three philosophies of life. In fact, I think plant-based encapsulates all of it well. Plant-based is more regarding your nutrition, your nutritionary choices, and veganism is a lifestyle choice for you to follow, not just in the kitchen or on your plate, but throughout every avenue of your life. And I think that about does it for us, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in and sticking around. I appreciate you here at All Growth. If you made it all the way to the end, please subscribe, rate, review, like, and follow us on whatever platform you're hearing us on. Please make sure to follow our social medias at All Growth Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. In the meantime and in between time, keep growing, keep glowing, keep going.